Hello, this is Adewale again, and this is just to give you a short tutorial on how to use the chat module of Private LLM Pro. Now, just quickly, you can think of Private LLM like ChatGPT with a lot of bells and whistles added onto it. Um, Usually, when you want to use ChatGPT, you just have the chat module, and you have to create a lot of come up with a lot of creative ways to get it to give you different things you want through prompting. Um, but the idea with chat private LLM is that it gives you everything you need for writing, like chat with ChatGPT, but it also helps you write a lot of more content at a go, more than you would with ChatGPT. Plus, the big part of this is that you do not have to pay for tokens or subscriptions. It's running off your computer. You could even switch off the internet at the moment, like the way it is. You could switch off the internet and it will keep writing. You don't need to connect to anything. So, in other words, it's costing you nothing to create content like it would if you are using any of the tools that rely on ChatGPT or Claude or Google Gemini. Um, so you got tools like ZimWriter, which is a very good tool, but it uses subscriptions to the OpenAI, so you're paying for everything you're writing. Although it's very cheap for some people, but in a strange way, the costs add up after some time. I just keep having to shell out a lot of money for writing content. This way, you can write content that's as good, but without that additional cost, right? Okay, so how do we use the chat module? So it's very simple, like with ChatGPT. If you know how to use ChatGPT, then you will know how to use this quite easily. All you just do is put in your queries in this user input area. So let me think of a query. Tell me about professional microphones. So what you see is that it will first show two lines and then shows one line after the content is written. So you know all the time um, where the AI is writing and where you're writing. Is just to help you um, keep stock of how the conversation is flowing. And as you can see, it writes very well. Um, at the moment, I'm using Cybertron. So you find all the large language models, they have their own different character traits, it seems, and can write in different ways. At the moment, I'm really liking the way Unicybertron writes. Okay, so that's writing there. And you want to stop the content from generating, you just press abort, and that will stop the content from generating. Um, After you press abort, if you feel, oh, you want to continue the content, you just press continue, and the system will try its best to continue from where you've left off. So continuing the discussion, we were talking about condenser mic. Now the continue button is very useful. Let's say you just asked it to write an article for you. And usually you will find with a lot of these LLMs, they write, but they don't write the full thing. They write and they stop at a particular place. You can tell it to continue. So just continue generating the rest of the article. So you can see it sort of picked up from here where it was left off there. And yeah, okay. Right. So you could either use the send button whenever you're using the user area, or you could just type in enter. But you could type in a question. What is a mouse? What's the difference between a house mouse and a field mouse? And then you can use the shift enter to move the cursor down like you would in most applications, and you could continue typing if you wanted to. Yeah, so that's the feature that's available there. So I'm just going to ask it that question just to show you another feature that's also available. So one of the things that makes a chat module more useful is for the LLM to know what the conversation is about and be able to carry a to and fro conversation. This is not something that just happens. You have to sort of code it in to get the LLM to notice where it is in the conversation so that the conversation can be a bit more intelligent. So I've coded in a little bit of a memory that allows the LLM to keep track of its conversation with you. I'm just going to abort now. And just to test the memory, we want to talk about, okay, we want to see if it remembers what we were talking about before we talked about mice. What were you talking about before talking about mice? Sometimes what's funny when I'm dealing with the LLMs, the large language models, it often feels like you're talking to a geek because of the way they answer sometimes. So this is what I was saying prior to discussing various types of field and woodland, Apodemia silivactus, or house urban dwelling rodents. you won't have somebody just tell you in conversation like that, except they're perhaps geeky, very intelligent, and those kind of things just rolls off their tongue easily. Okay, right. So it's written that a bit more like how an AI writes. So we've got another function here, which is the humanize function. So when you press the humanize function will take whatever is in the last two lines, under the last two lines, and try to humanize it for you. Now, note that this whole text area can be edited, so you could take all of this and delete all of that. Yeah. Or you could actually type anything into it. Or you could bring in text that you have generated from another with another AI, and you want to humanize it. So this can help you humanize it. So let's tell humanizer. So what I find is the LLMs are all different in the way they humanize content. Sometimes Unicybertron would do a better job. Sometimes, depending on the topic, neural chat would do a better job. Again, depending on the topic. All right. So that's how you humanize the content. And this humanizer, it works quite well. And you'll find I'm almost all the AI content detectors will not detect it as an AI, except the ones at the very, very top. There's some very good AI content detectors that seem to detect very easily almost anything, no matter how good you try to tweak it. But for most of them, it's going to pass the AI contact detection. Right. So let's just abort that. So this is how you use the chat module. Now, for people who are just kind of wondering, can I use the chat module itself to write an article? Let's delete all of that. Let's just press clear. You can write an article. You could write an article, but like you will find with ChatGPT or even with Claude, when they write the article, they may give you 400 words, they may give you 500 words, and they won't just go beyond that and give you in-depth content. They won't be able to. It just looks like a run-of-the-mill article most of the time. They don't really go deep. And this is why we have the remaining modules, which we're going to be going through in other videos to help you be able to generate in-depth content. Again, the big difference is that you're using only your PC. Everything is running off your PC. So if you can't afford to use, consistently pay for your tokens and consistently paying for your things like ZimWriter, although yes, ZimWriter, you buy the package, but you still have to pay every time, anytime you write an article to the API, which is not what happens here. So you're going to be able to write good in-depth articles, which we'll be going through across the next videos.